orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Hello, everybody in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing, and we are back with another podcast for you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is March 23rd, 2021, and it's a beautiful spring day in New York, and I am very happy to have with me, speaking of beautiful in spring, I have Jocelyn Greenky with me. Jocelyn Greenky is a consultant who works with a company called Cider Road. She's the founder of the company, and she is amazing. She is a consultant that helps businesses, works with dental practices, grow, handle their staff, and we're here today to talk about issues that practices have with their staff and the headaches that you have and how to alleviate them. And we're not talking about popping an aspirin here. So Jocelyn, how are you today?
I'm good. I just want everybody to know out there, I happen to have my MBA. I'm a published author with Simon & Schuster and a professor, FYI.
Excellent. Welcome, welcome. So, Jocelyn, give us a bit of background. Tell us who Jocelyn Greenky is and how did you come up with Cider Road?
Cider Road is a road that exists in Stevensville in Canada. And I grew up in Buffalo, and my father was an orthodontist, and he, had a practice. Lovely family. We lived in a, typical American neighborhood and suburbia. And the woman who worked for our family for 50 years, 50, she started out as a teenager with my grandparents, ended up staying with us for 50 years, was a Mennonite, and she and her siblings, who all lived together, 5 of them, in a house on Cider Road. So I spent my weekend, summers, vacations, all that stuff on this farm, with cattle and ducks and geese and the whole thing, and baling hay out in Canada. And that's how Cider Road became where it is. Yeah.
And what is Cider Road now?
So now what we do is I really leveraged my experience in working in the entertainment field, 35 plus years, plus, the academia, and went back to my roots, which was all medical. Both my brothers are doctors, orthopedic surgeons. Their sons are doctors. My father, my grandfather. And I really know that long-term health of this country and our population is obviously built on medicine. And I wanted to go back to make sure that each of the firms are running smoothly from somebody who is a trusted consultant person, who's a partner of theirs, if you will, and to give them the straightaway of really how their leadership, whoever the doctors are working with their staff. Because oftentimes, we know that doctors go to medical school, but what happens is they don't get schooled in business training. And so, cut short, you can definitely work with me, and I would definitely help those on the technology, staffing, hardware, software, you name it, all the entire practice of how it run. And I work with other people in my firm to help with that.
So in these day and age, practices have to deal with a lot of different staff members, but all different ages, from millennials all the way up to senior citizens, and having employees and getting them on board and getting them to understand the protocols and the right steps is very, very difficult. Orthodontists focus on what they do best. They fix teeth. They make people smile. So,
Right.
In order to make a practice run smoothly, there has to be a lot of protocols in place. So,
Right.
why don't you tell me 2 of the biggest issues that a dental professional faces now when it comes to staff, and how do they handle that?
Well, what happens is doctors think that staff should just, quote, know what they're supposed to be doing, when in fact they really don't. And there's best practices, which is a term that MBA types like me like to talk about, and then write about, and then demonstrate how professional staff people should actually interact not only with the doctor, but with patients and themselves, other colleagues. And so That's what training is to make people aware of what's expected of them. What are they being paid for every hour? What's their salary worth? Unless they achieve certain goals, how to act, what to say, and the process of what to do. But the big thing is the lack of time for the doctors and patients. They have a lot to do, of course. And so having a third party in there to help them assist with that is really important.
So, how does a practice handle this? So obviously, with the new technologies and the way things are trending now, how does a doctor even know what to use, or what? If you don't know, you don't know. So how does a
Right.
doctor know what to implement, and then how do you train your staff to do so? Do you have to bring in consultant after consultant after consultant? What generally what have you found has been the way things have run?
Right. Well, the truth is, you really have to have somebody show up in the office. And that's what I've been doing for several years with lots of different doctors. Like the COVID thing obviously was a sidetrack, but once things started opening in June, I was right back in there. And because unless I witness or ask, listen, do you have protocols in place? Where are they? Yes, I do. No, I don't. I think they're someplace. I think they're on the hard drive, maybe on the desktop. I'm not sure. And so once you have those and asking valid questions of the office manager or whoever's supposedly in charge on the business side, that's how you know if someone's telling you the truth, if it's or things are working in conjunction with best practices among other practices. So it's worth the investment, if it's me, if it's somebody else, to bring them in to actually see how the operation is actually running and not be afraid to basically lift up the sheets, lift up the covers, and look under the hood and really see exactly how things are running.
Hmm, interesting. So how do you help dental professionals with these issues that they have? How do you fit into the equation?
Well, I'm an independent. We side of road isn't we have because we have different. Obviously, we have staff, but we actually send somebody in there, and it doesn't matter what language it is. There's so many languages are spoken in our country now that we have people who speak different languages and actually sit in the front and see what the upfront staff is doing, and then we go to the back office and actually watch, witness, and ask the questions of what everybody else is doing. We
Hmm.
have a checklist of things to start, and then once we assess all that stuff, we go and sit down with the doctor and say, this is what we see great, this is what's bad, this is what needs to be improved, this is what's going to save you money. This is, it's like going to a doctor yourself, right?
Right.
If you know something's wrong, you go to the doctor. And once you go to the doctor, he tells you the same thing. Look, good, bad, ugly, and this is, you got to walk more, eat less meat. We do the same thing.
Hmm. So how do you actually figure out the best way to implement this? Because every practice probably needs something different. So how do you determine what is the best match for a particular office?
Oftentimes it's not, the process of running an office doesn't matter if it's a doctor's office or um, any other small business. All the processes are more or less the same. It just depends on what you're talking about, what the product or this service is. So it's how you talk to that person. I can't talk to you, Dean, the same, and you're my client, and I can't talk to you the same way I might speak to Dr. Smith or Dr. Greenky for that matter. I have to be able to assess based on his culture or her culture and personal situation. They happily married? Are they going through a divorce? Have they just moved someplace? Those are all the types of things that I keep in my head before I actually sit down with somebody. Is this the right time to deliver the news? So I know exactly how it takes to make a multi-million dollar practice run, get bigger, cut out the fat, or add more services that you're going to have more income. But it's all a matter of providing that information in a way that somebody can hear it, and also relevant information. If somebody's very happy with coming in 4 days a week and they're making, a 2 million or $1 million a year and they don't want to expand, then I just don't go there. And I just clean up what is what's happening right then and there.
How does a orthodontist or dentist even realize that they need your help? Because they're focused on what they're doing, and they just look at their bottom line and say, "Uh-oh, I'm making less money now." Like, how do they even know that it's broken in order to bring somebody in to fix it?
That is a fabulous question. 90% of the time, people know something's wrong. They have a high turnover. People are complaining. Patients are complaining. You know when something's wrong. And if you, let's say that you feel like, no, nothing's really wrong, but you're hearing all those things, you definitely have to bring in something, because what you're really working on is saving your reputation. Because once uh, any medical practice blows their reputation, it's really, really hard to pick that back up. And there's phones and cameras everywhere. If somebody blows their cool, or something's being handled properly, and a patient or third party vendor, videotapes it and feels
Hmm.
like, making that public, you're going to be in big trouble.
Right.
So those are the things. I would say that 90% of the people are like, oh, I'll deal with it next week. Oh, I'll get somebody else. The truth is, like, it starts at the top. The problem is at the top.
This podcast is brought to you by Presentation Multimedia. Presentation Multimedia is a full-service digital marketing agency providing website design, social media management, search engine optimization, digital advertising, and more. For more information, visit presentationmultimedia.com.
It's interesting, you're right. It's very difficult to know if it's broken unless all of a sudden it's too late. So, so how do you
That's right.
deal with so many different types of personalities and people? How do you, and nobody wants change and nobody wants to be told what to do. So how do you get people to get on board? Because most people, I'm assuming, will come up with, when they're facing change, have resistance. So how do you work with that in a small practice? Say if they've got 5, 10 people in the office there, how do you
Right.
handle something like that?
Well, you know, mostly because, my work is all has mostly 99% of it is word of mouth. So you have to empower the third party. That's why having a third party is so wonderful, is because, I hired someone to look and make sure everything is running smoothly. So I have to go on her recommendation. So I take a lot of blame often. And it's not blame, because you won't believe it. The people who are servicing the doctor, the staff, they want to be heard too. And they're just as frustrated as the doctor. So having somebody come in and sort of listening to both sides, and then being a judge, if you will, or mediating the thing, is servicing everybody and making both sides super happy.
Interesting. Okay. So, so now let's talk a little bit about, put your crystal ball glasses on. All right. So where do you see the dental orthodontic industry going in the next 12 to 18 months? Because from my side, in marketing, everything is going virtual. We have virtual consultations, virtual
Hmm.
follow-ups, and a lot of technologies and everything. And websites used to be just a great billboard to promote your business and practice, and now it's a living, breathing creature. You have to be able to let people schedule appointments right on your site. You need to communicate with people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and let them do orthodontics on their terms. So, where do you see things in the overall scope as far as staff and relationships and business growth going in the next 12 to 24 months?
Um, First of all, dentists can do a lot more than just dentistry. In fact, somebody I just recommend to buy a laser to do some laser around the mouth. And so there's other services besides just dentistry that they can pull in other professionals to service that. Number two, dentists don't have to be open totally 7 days a week. I think that as long as they're providing the best service, running a business which is, amazingly clean cut, professional, everything you could, and friendly and kind, having dogs in the office, things like that, non allergic dogs. I think all of that is going to really follow through. But I think dentistry is going to evolve. And believe it or not, take a little bit more from the orthodontist practice, a little bit, because of all of the Invisalign types of product that don't require going to the orthodontist as much. Um, but generally speaking, everyone's going to be judged on their service and their protocols, and so they have to clean that up, because if something slips, they'll be, it goes social on social media, and that's definitely not a good thing.
No, certainly not. Um, so now let's talk about yourself and your education there. So how do you stay on top of things within your role of the business and industry? Um, what's your go-to as far as continual education to keep yourself sharp? It doesn't have to be about the industry in general. I mean, is there a particular book, podcast, website that you listen to or read or go to that you would recommend to somebody that just wants to just learn how to be better fill in the blank?
Right. Um, obviously there's probably a million podcasts out there, but no, what I do, because I'm working so much, and oftentimes people can learn from each other and understand how the businesses are running, with a million shows on Netflix and Hulu and Apple TV about how to and what to do. But the best thing to do is to Google best practices of how to run an office. It still doesn't take the place of someone who's there to witness it and
Right.
to dig into the financials and cost per, how much is it actually costing you to get a new patient, how much are you spending, and are you getting the best value from your media spend and your marketing mix. But I think the other one thing is, I think that there's a lot of groups that will be joining each other and becoming even that much bigger. So that's something to consider too.
Excellent. So now I'm going to ask you two more questions.
Sure.
All right. So you just saw or come across your Twitter that an asteroid is hitting the Earth tonight.
What?
What's your last meal?
Oh God! Warm bread, salted butter, okay, in olive oil.
Mhm. Okay.
And I do eat meat, so some fabulous steak, and what else? Probably some like yummy some green vegetables. I mean, that are the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich ever.
Oh, there you go. Good answer. All right. And finally, the most important question of all: Hershey bar or Reese's peanut butter cup?
Oh my! Whatever one's dark chocolate.
Oh, okay. All right. Hershey's dark chocolate. Interesting.
Oh, is
Okay.
it?
Yeah, Hershey is dark. Well, Hershey is light and dark. There's
Oh,
milk chocolate and dark, but you're a dark chocolate girl.
I'm a
Okay.
dark chocolate girl, baby.
Great.
Oh
Excellent. Good.
yeah.
Beautiful. So, Jocelyn Greenky, thanks so much for this information. This is great. And guys, obviously, you're an orthodontist, you're a dentist, you specialize in what you do. And how do you handle staff, and how do you take things to the next level? Focus on that. Work with an expert. It took me forever to be able to finally break down and call Jocelyn to help me with my practice and my business. And I can't say enough about how great she's been for me and help put right the ship
Aw,
and get things to the level where we're at. So I highly recommend her, and for you to bring her in
so
to at
sweet.
least sit down with and chat with. So if somebody wants to get more information or to get in touch with you, Jocelyn, what's the best way to do so?
Hello at Cider Road, SIDERROAD. Hello. You guys know how to spell that. SIDERROAD. And you can always text me at 917-887-8175.
Terrific.
917. Yeah, you guys have heard that.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Jocelyn, thanks so much. Guys, you'll be hearing from Jocelyn again and again. She's incredible. We're going to have an ongoing series about different ways to deal with employees and as far as issues that's going down. So if any questions you'd like to even recommend a topic
Right.
on what to talk about, please reach out to us and let us know, and we'll gladly do so. So
Yeah.
everybody out in podcast land, thanks so much for listening. Happy spring coming up to everybody. Enjoy. If you're a baseball fan, right around the corner, let's go Mets. And
Fine.
everybody keep on smiling. Jocelyn, thanks so much. Everybody,
Pleasure.
be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.